better to be in the house of mourning than it is to be in the house of mirth. 2/3 of our people went and celebrated that bullshit yesterday, and the Most High turned up judgment. Now, if you're not being chastised and you're not feeling hardship, I would say the Most High is probably not dealing with you. I'm in the house of mourning. Okay, I'm grieving the loss of my dog. Like I said, there's a lot of things that just remind me of her, you know. And like everything else, though, you know, I'm just going to need some time to heal there. But 2/3 of my people went out and celebrated it anyways, you know. And, you know, even before I came to this truth, you know, just people are fucking ingrates, alright? Straight out the fucking gate, man. They only think about themselves around this time. Because, you know, the Most High turns it up and everybody fucking, you know, just, they're not appreciative of the things. And then they just return half the shit for the so-called store credit. But, man, the mirth of this land is gone if you haven't been watching. And there's lots of reasons why we don't celebrate it. And even Richie from Boston knows why we don't celebrate it. So, you know, just getting into this. Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And shout out to the Akims out there on the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash, Brakatum. Here's the video, and then for those watching on YouTube, you can catch this brother's channel, Debar Gadash, Fuck Christmas and the 2/3. And that should be reason enough right there for why we do not celebrate it. And hey, they even had to print an article here on the Zero Hedge. Lies my liberal teacher told me about Christmas. It's almost as much as Christmas tradition as eggnog, Rankin Bass. The politicals left propaganda disappearing. Noel appears like clockwork every December. This season inevitably triggers progressives into rantings and ravings about the white supremacist evils of Western culture, aka Edomite supremacy, right? Christianity and the need for a more secular, multicultural form of celebration. In other words, Christians aren't allowed to have their own holidays. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, Christian means follower of Hamashiach. And you have to be an Israelite to be a follower of Hamashiach. He doesn't give a shit about the rest of this fucking world, okay? He hates the heathen, especially Esau. Protected holidays are only reserved for cultures with spicy foods and child marriage. And if you went to public school in the West in the past few decades, you probably dealt with multi-liberal teachers who regaled their profound insights on the true history of Western holiday traditions. Problem is, most of these teachers tell their students is a lie based on generations of crafty political narratives. Well, it's a narrative because you know that, I don't know if this is defending Christianity. Oh, this is defending Christianity, never mind. Now, fuck it anyways. We know why we don't celebrate it. Don't even have to get into that. Fuck that article, alright? U.S. Northeast set for post-Christmas winter storm. Yeah, they say a bomb cyclone, which is a stupid, retarded fucking word, but a lot of storms is coming. If you're not going through any storm right now, I'm not sure that the Most High is even dealing with you. So, like everything else, though, timing, snow develops Friday at 1500 to 1800 hours, becomes steady after 1800 hours. Mixed perception develop after midnight in several zones, with the change back to all snow by early Saturday morning. So, well, yeah. So that's later tonight. Interior parts of New York and nearby areas could see 6 to 10 inches of snow, sleet. Portions of southern New England or nearby regions may receive 3 to 6 inches. Areas around Philadelphia and central Pennsylvania face snow changing to sleet or rain 1 to 4 inches. Coastal England light and showers. I mean, it's a big winter storm is coming. And like everything else, though, better to be in the house of mourning than the house of mirth. But even Richie from Boston put up a video yesterday on this very thing.
Saturnalia. Christmas has not one single thing in the world to do with Christ in here. Let me show you a Facebook post that I posted earlier today, right here, okay? This basically sums it up, I thought. It says, let the justification begin. Claiming to bring Christ back into a ritual known before Christ as Saturnalia is still feeding a pagan ritual, period. Nowhere does the Bible command we observe Jesus' birth, which is in September, not in December in the first place. And here's another fun one. Jeremiah 10, 2 through 4.
There we go.
Says, thus said the Lord,
we bring it out every year.
Of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth the tree out of the forest, and the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and a hammer, that it move not. Yeah, I mean, it's in there. It's funny that people... Anything that was important, God commands you to do. You know what I'm saying? Certain feasts and things. Jesus' birthday is never mentioned one time whatsoever at all, nor is Christmas or December 25th. The only thing December 25th is known for is Saturnalia. So anybody that's celebrating it, your energy is still going into their ritual. You see that right there? See that picture? See me in the middle? Yeah. Me and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other guys. Why did that just disappear? That's lame. We pulled an airplane for cancer. How crazy is that? And I actually did pull it by myself. Why does that keep going away? It was 727. Not the same one that hit the Twin Towers, mind you, because that would be ridiculous. But I did do that.
757, you mean?
Whatever. At any rate, yeah, so people, Christmas is always, I mean, how many years have you watched me do videos from anywhere except home? Because where I live, they like to have Christmas upstairs in my patio. And that really bummed me out. I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. I don't want to ruin everything for everybody else, but I mean, come on, man. We're at the time right now that, I mean, we're in dire straits. Things are going really, really, really bad. It's astonishing to me how bad things are going, and we still got people telling us that things like Atlas 3I is transforming. Yeah, none of those pictures are real. Any actual pictures from actual telescopes are simply specks, because nothing's coming through. Nothing's coming through the firmament. It just ain't working like that whatsoever at all. Knowing the biblical cosmology...
So, like everything else, and then, of course, he put up a false flag alert, which was in yesterday's video. Zelensky announced meeting with Trump. Axios reporter claimed that two leaders are set to talk at Marigo on Sunday, citing officials in Kiev. Zelensky has announced that he will meet with President Trump in the near future, while Zelensky did not provide details about the meeting's timing nor location. Right on Telegram on Friday, Zelensky said the following Ukraine negotiator with the American representatives, both sides agreed to a meeting at the highest level, which can be decided by the new year, Ukraine leader wrote. Well, like everything else, though, you know, Trump's going to tell you that, oh, you know, I've done all this great shit, right? You know? And the only thing that's really happened is just that, you know, well, he's just going to claim all these victories, right? Oh, yeah, I got the Gaza peace plan, and, I did this, I did that, right? Well, like everything else, though, and this guy sends out a warning, too, but this was what's been going on while people went out to celebrate that fucking bullshit. You know, it's hilarious, and like everything else. So, you know, for the YouTube side, I recommend playing this video. Don't want to get strikes or anything else for using too much. I know that Richie from Boston would never give me a strike, so, but like everything else, so, you know, just trying to keep it real. And then this happened. U.S. launches strikes on alleged ISIS targets in Nigeria, so Trump says. Tonight, at my direction, Commander-in-Chief launched a powerful deadly strike against ISIS. But wait a minute, if you're going after ISIS, then why are you negotiating with ISIS leader in D.C., aka al-Jilani? I previously warned that terrorists, that if they did not stop the slaughtering, they're not even Christians, that's plantation Christianity anyways, but nonetheless, there would be hell to pay tonight. There was. Mr. Trump did not provide further details on the strikes, such as how many people were killed or who was specifically targeted or how many strikes were carried out. Well, he's bombing the shit out of Nigeria and guys are fighting ISIS. Sound familiar? Just like with Syria. U.S. launches airstrikes against Nigeria, citing unsubstantiated claims of anti-Christian violence. See, like everything else, though, they're spinning a narrative that, oh, they're slaughtering Christians, we got to do something. The strike, which Trump announced late Thursday, presented as a blow to so-called African branch of Daesh, which said he carried out large-scale violence against Christians in Nigeria. Tonight, at my direction, I already did that, who had been targeting, Trump claimed. Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed that the attacks targeted Sokoto State and were carried out in coordination with Nigerian authorities. Well, like everything else, though, you know. So they claim. Yeah, they're fighting ISIS. So the Nigerian government claims. Well, like everything else, though, you know, you can't believe a word that they say, right? But RT's also got more on this, and I'll play this one in its entirety.
For more on this, we're joined by RT correspondent Caleb Maupin. Caleb, welcome to the program. What do we know about the intentions behind this U.S. strike on Nigeria?
Well, we have footage released by the U.S. Department of War that shows the moment when the strike actually hit, and that footage is now available. Washington said the strike was conducted on Christmas Day, and it targeted an ISIS position in northern Nigeria, the area that borders Niger. Now, the strike has been commented on by U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. He talked about how President Donald Trump had said last month that the killing of innocent Christians in Nigeria and elsewhere expressed gratitude for the Nigerian government in their support and cooperation. Now, the strike was confirmed by the U.S. African Command. Now, two interesting things there. First of all, at first, when the U.S. African Command tweeted about the strike, they actually spelled the name of the state in northern Nigeria where the strike was taken place, where it was taken. They spelled it incorrectly. They also, in their original tweet, said the strike was conducted at the request of Nigeria. That was then corrected and replaced with conducted in coordination with Nigeria. So it seems to imply that it was the United States that decided to carry out the strike. Nigeria cooperated. It wasn't Nigeria that asked for the strike, as their original tweet implied.
So there you go. Lies.
In their statement,
lies on the tablecloth
that were suffering at the hands of terrorism. They were working to make sure of the safety of all the people in the country.
Everybody's going to the party, have a real good time.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Federal Republic of Nigeria confirms that Nigerian authorities remain engaged in structured security cooperation with international partners,
Everybody's going to the party, have a real good time.
And violent extremism. Terrorist violence, in any form, whether directed at Christians, Muslims, or other communities, remains an affront to Nigeria's values and
I have to admit that,
now, the top
certain songs say it all, you know.
Emphasized that the country could no longer turn a blind eye toward religious violence.
Oh, boy.
Could not be ignored. Here's
you're such a fucking hero.
This, Nigeria's constitutional commitment to religious freedom and rule of law. All the answers are in there. And this is what guides us, and this is what shows that it's impossible for there to be a religious persecution that can be supported in any way.
Now, like everything else, though, you don't know all sides, but I've gotten to this conclusion, though, that if the U.S. is behind something, it's something sinister, not for the good of anybody.
All the answers lie in this, and what we are trying to make the world understand is that we should not create another Sudan.
Now, last month, U.S. President Donald Trump spoke up about the persecution of Nigerian Christians and said that the authorities concerns of local Christian populations, or else he would cut off national aid to Nigeria from the United States and have the U.S. military go into the country, and the words he used were
big
rather
talk.
provocative, guns.
Enough of that bullshit. Let's just get going here, right? Turkey seeks to install radars in Syria to limit Israeli state. Israeli state has complete freedom of action over Syrian airspace, including to attack Iran. Okay, so they wish to throw in a game changer here, because like everything else though, the whole purpose in taking Syria to begin with was so they could launch sorties against Iran. And they used Syria to do that in June. See, like everything else, following the fire. And I knew that Iran was going to be attacked once Assad was gone. That, well, they would be able to. Well, as you can tell, these are Russian-made. But like everything else, though, they want to help Syria so that way the Israeli state don't, have their way. Before the fall of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, Russia prevented the Syrian military from using the S-300 missile defense system to protect its military sites and soldiers from Israeli attacks. Syria instead was forced to rely on other less effective air defense systems such as S-200. However, once Assad was deposed by self-appointed President al-Jilani, Israeli state was able to bomb Syria without fear of any missile response. Israeli Air Force dramatically escalated its attacks against Syria, carrying out hundreds of bombing raids and destroying virtually all that remained of the Syrian military equipment, which, it took them no time at all. Israeli state also moved to occupy new Syrian territory. On the 2nd of April, Israeli warplanes bombed Syria's T-4 airbase in Palmyra. Israeli state claimed it wished to prevent Turkey from establishing airbase to station warplanes and drones at the base. Turkey plans for T-4 reportedly including converting the base into a drone hub and temporarily deploying Russian-made S-400s capable of countering Israelis' advanced F-35 fighter jets. If a Turkish airbase is established, it would entail a violation of Israelis' freedom of action in Syria. This is a potential threat that we oppose. We struck the bases to send a message that we will not allow impairment of our aerial freedom of action, Israeli security officials said. So like everything else though, it was agreed upon that they would have free reign to do whatever the fuck they want. Most Israelis disillusioned with their state. So even people living in the Israeli state don't really like their government. I don't think anybody likes their government anywhere, You still, even though there was good leaders, I think you still had opposition. Duh. About a quarter of Zionist Israelis described the level of national democracy as good or excellent. The IDA reported based on polls conducted in May. The survey resulted and reinforced the downward trend of recent years. The Institute stated among Arab Israelis, positive assessment of the state of democracy hit a record low of 12%, according to the report. Well, yeah, because like everything else, though, especially the Arabs, they ain't going to like the Israeli government. You can't have peace with the enemy. The enemy's going to come and get you, especially Amalek. When it comes to Amalek, you can't trust anything. Israeli settler attack injures Palestinian baby and 5 arrested. So the Israeli authorities supposedly arrested 5 people in the West Bank. Israeli terrorists said they arrested 5 settlers over their alleged involvement in an attack on a Palestinian home that injured a baby girl in the West Bank. I'm sure they got out on bail. Yeah, because I don't really see that they're going to get much. The 8-month-old baby suffered moderate injuries to the face and the head in late Wednesday, according to the official Palestinian news agency. It blamed the attack on a group of armed settlers, accusing them of throwing stones at home and property in the town of Zaire. A statement from Israeli police said that 5 suspects had been arrested for their alleged involvement in serious violent incidents in the area. I'm pretty sure they'll just get on bail and this will go away. So, like everything else though, you know, this is going to keep turning up. Most High fucking hates these festivities, and he's really tired of everything, you know. He's about to reclaim everything, you know. And he's going to reclaim the 1/3, you know. Fuck these 2/3, as the first video said, right? Syrian Druze fighters covertly armed by Israeli state since Assad's fall. Well, so that, you know, causing insurrections, etc., arming groups to take up arms against the government to create tension and strife. Yep, Israeli state does that all the time. So does the U.S. Camp with the Israeli security establishment pushed the idea of transforming Syrian Druze into an official Israeli proxy loyal to Tel Aviv. Israeli state has been covertly supplying Syrian Druze minority with weapons, ammunition, and military supplies since the fall of Bashar al-Assad last year. After launching its occupation of southern Syria in 2024 December, Israeli state began sending the Druze community aid deliveries. And I believe I read this before, but, well, of course, been a while since I've been on YouTube, but now I'm on YouTube as well, so, you know, to that side, right? It's like everything else, though. I just do a little bit of editing for the other side, the YouTube side, so that way I don't get strikes, all that sort of shit. Israeli state continues to carry out airdrops of non-lethal, they claim non-lethal military equipment such as body armor, medical supplies to Jewish fighters, effectively undermining al-Jawlani's ability to centralize power. Israelis have been providing monthly payments between 100 to 200 to about 3,000 Druze militiamen. So like everything else though, you know, they're doing this on purpose. SDF Syrian forces renewing clashes in Aleppo as Turkish foreign minister visits Damascus, because like everything else though, they're trying to strengthen ties and they're trying to, you know, pretty much rebuild Syria, you know. For like everything else though, you know, there was a deal with Turkey and in doing that, you know, with the so-called, because Bashar al-Assad and Erdogan didn't see eye to eye, so, you know, Erdogan's been trying to overthrow Assad for a long time, and finally, with a deal with the Israeli state, you know, that, you know, Turkey would have some of it, but so would the Israeli state. You know, secret deals, of course. But like everything else, though, any deals with the Israeli state, well, they're good at reneging on it, right? You can't trust the Israeli state. Oh, and by the way, the Turks, they're Amalekites too. So that's like Amalek versus Amalek, right? It's a whole mess over there, but this is all being done on purpose. Just like Esau's against Esau, right? You have the Russian Edomites versus the, you know, so-called American Edomites, right? You know, it's Esau versus Esau there. Then you got Amalek versus Amalek, you know, Turkey and Israeli state. But all these nations are going to be punished very shortly, and you can see where it's all being carried out. The General Staff of the Syrian Arab Army issued an order to halt targeting of SDF fire sources in Aleppo after neutralizing several of them, narrowing the scope of clashes away from civilians, the Syrian Defense Ministry said in the statement. I guess they still call them the Syrian Arab Army, even though they're not anymore, because they really, they're really ISIS. Yeah, because the Syrian Army right here, but it said Syrian Arab Army. I don't know if that's a misprint. But nonetheless, though, that's neither here nor there. The SDF carried out systematic attacks against Aleppo, directly targeting densely populated residential areas, neighborhoods, and Al-Razi Hospital. So the SDF is creating terrorism. Oh, but you can't call it SDF terrorism, right? Because they're a proxy of the U.S., so that way the U.S. can keep the oil. He described the escalation as part of a repeated attempts to undermine the March 10 agreement signed with the Syrian state, which, like everything else, the SDF blames the violence again on the Syrian army, right? Like everything else, though, you know, these SDF was a new way to get in once they had gotten ISIS in there. So, of course, like everything else, though, you know, Esau's being followed out, right? And got a short video here on Syria before I close this out. You know, because the scriptures tell us, well, I'll just go ahead and end it with that, but I'll go ahead and bring it out, right? Because, you know, 2 Ezra chapter 16 says it all. And it's right here, you know, because woe means war, right? And death, right? 2 Ezra chapter 16, and it reads, woe be unto you, Babylon and Asia. Well, what's Asia? That's the whole continent, right? So that could include Ukraine too, and Europe, because that's dealing with the whole continent. But I think in this case, the reason why it's said it first, then it says, woe be unto you, Egypt and Syria. Well, who's modern day Egypt? Well, that's Babylon. So now it's being specific, you know, that, okay, it's talking about West Asia, which is where Syria is. Bind out sackcloth and clothes of goat's hair, and wail for your children and lament for them, for your destruction is at hand. The sword has been sent upon you, and who is there to turn it back? So, you know, more bad things are coming to Syria, especially Damascus. A fire has been sent upon you, and who is there to quench it? Calamities have been sent upon you, and who is there to drive them away? But also death's coming to Babylon too. Can anyone drive off a hungry lion in the forest, or quench a fire in the stubble once it has started to burn? So the nuclear war is going to take out both Syria and Babylon. Can one turn back an arrow shot by a strong archer? The Most High Yahweh sends calamities, and who will drive them away? Fire will go forth from his wrath, and who is there to quench it? He will flash lightning, and who will not be afraid? He will thunder, who will not be terrified? The Most High Yahweh will threaten, and who will not be utterly shattered at his presence? The earth and its foundations quake, the sea is turned up from the depths, and its waves and the fish with them shall be troubled at the presence of the Lord and the glory of his power. So basically, you know, that's talking about the nuclear destruction. It's going to disrupt everything. For his right hand that bends the bow is strong, as arrows that he shoots are sharp, and when they are shot to the ends of the world, they will not miss. They will not miss once. So, like everything else though, what this is talking about is that the Most High is behind World War III. He's pretty much given the order for it to happen. See, when it says loose the 4 angels that are bound in the great river Euphrates, which is indicating to you that, okay, well, where is the great river Euphrates? Doesn't that run through Syria? That, you know, World War III really begins in Syria. So, on the day that Syria completely falls, you know, we're not talking about, you know, reinstalling of governments and leaders falling. We're talking about Damascus completely being obliterated and nuclear destruction, so be at the same time, because the Most High is the one that ordered it. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out until it consumes the foundations of the earth. Now what it's saying is that, okay, the whole earth is going to, you know, be hit with these nuclear missiles. Just as an arrow is shot by a mighty archer. Well, you know what these mighty archers is talking about. It's talking about these missile silos, these missile deployments. Does not return. So the calamities that are sent upon the earth shall not return. Alas for me, who will deliver me in those days? So, pretty much though, if the Most High ain't with you, you're going to get consumed by nuclear fire. You're going to be cast alive in that nuclear fire, which is going to kill you. You know, and that's why we urge you not to take the MOTB, which is the implantable microchip, and that's coming by ways of everything else. I got one more here before I close this out. Then I want to say Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Shem Rakakadash, Wa Abab Babal. Brakatham Jehovah Elect, Shalom. And if you want to catch the other videos, you can either go to those channels or you can watch the longer length videos on BitChute, Odysee, and Rumble. Shalom.
Syria may be heading towards a serious escalation, with tensions rising across the country from Kurdish-held areas in the north to the Druze-controlled Sueda in the south and the Alawite-majority coast. The escalation began from the northern city of Aleppo late on December 22nd, with clashes between the forces of the Islamist-led government and fighters affiliated with the Syrian Democratic Forces. The clashes came ahead of a looming end-of-the-year deadline to integrate the SDF into the government under an agreement reached in March. Fighting took place around the Kurdish-majority neighborhoods of Sheikh Maksoud and Ashrafia, de facto held by SDF. The clashes claimed the lives of 3 people, including 2 women. Ceasefire was reached within a few hours. However, tensions persisted, with both sides deploying large reinforcements along the main front line from Aleppo to Raqqa and Deir ez-Zor. No progress on the implementation of the March agreement was reported afterward. As the clashes in Aleppo were calming down, fighting began in Sueda between government forces and Druze fighters from the National Guard. The clashes took place near the towns of Rima Hazm and Atul to the northwest and north of the city of Sueda.
Starting to light up again.
Government forces were killed and 4 others were wounded. On the other side, 2 Druze fighters were killed and 7 others were wounded. Tensions rose again on December 24th with the release of a report by the Washington Post accusing Druze of receiving weapons and salaries from Israel and even the SDF. Then the tensions moved to the coast.
And
Government forces stormed the town of Baghdad, where it attacked a cell of Alawite rebels. Clashes went on for several hours and ended with the death of 3 Alawite fighters and an elderly civilian. Several security personnel were also wounded. In response, the Alawite Supreme Council issued a statement warning the government that it could once again call for protests and hinting that the community won't remain peaceful. A New York Times report that came out on the same day claimed that former Syrian officers led by Tiger Forces commander Suhail al-Hassan were planning to retake the coast. The latest development highlights the government failure to build trust with Syrian minorities. The situation with the SDF is especially concerning as the government appears to be preparing to attack the group after the end of the year. A battle with the Kurds in the north of the country will certainly lead to escalation with Druze and Sueda and Alawites on the coast. Thus, all hell could break loose in Syria within a few weeks.
Yep, all hell's about to break loose. Shalom.